Alright guys, I'm here to show a little issue I've found with my 2014 Teryx T2. The suspension has always been what I would say real choppy, especially in the rear. Even though I had the shocks revalved, got a little better, but I was just determined, you know, something's going on. Couldn't quite figure out what, you know, mess with this, mess with preload. Nothing really mattered all that much. All I did was lose ride height, you know, when you back the preload off, and it still just plain didn't get any better. Well, tonight I kind of stumbled across this by accident, actually. What I was intending to do is get some measurements of the camber changes through the full cycle of the suspension, because I'm going to fix the negative camber on mine. It's going away. You know, that the inner tire wear on the rears, you know, it's just stupid. Kawasaki probably did it to me. Some people say, oh, it's for handling, blah blah blah. Nah, they did it more for safety than handling, in my opinion. But anyway, what I'm going to do, and this I'll take a little video of that when I do it, but here's how I got to this point. What I'm going to do, I was trying to figure the camber changes throughout the suspension cycle so I can add to this upper A-arm. From what I've came up with now, I'm probably going to have to add about a 1/2 inch of 1¼ inch DOM right here, cut the arms, add a 1/2, negative camber, gone. But anyway, so in my quest to cycle the suspension, I got the bolts out already, just for ease and quickness, or nuts off the shocks. I take the shocks off, right? So, okay, now we can, come on. Now we can cycle the suspension, see what's up. So I'm picking up on it going, dang, what is wrong with this thing? I mean, you can't cycle it to full compression. There's no way. You can't push it all the way up all the way to full compression. I mean, it almost feels like it's got a sway bar on it or something. So I'm like, wow, okay. So I take the upper arm loose from the hub and try to move the upper arm. Well, watch this, boys and girls. You can't, for one thing, you can't hardly cycle it up. And when you do, wow, look at that. That's real nice. Nice and sticky. The bottom, I've done the other side already, and it's floppy and loose as a goose like it ought to be. This rear isn't as bad, but when you get up to about right here, it starts sticking. The top's horrible. See, I mean, it's just, and what it is, and you know, and that affects your suspension. I mean, all day long. Say what you want, it does. I'm sorry. This should be nice, free, and loose. And it's not by any stretch of the imagination. So, in my looking, let me see, I didn't take these nuts off. I bolted some nuts out. Excuse my archaic way of doing it, but that's okay. It works. This side has never been apart. See that? Did you see that fall? Alright, I'll loosen it. In fact, it might have been the rear one. Look. Oops. Look at that. Nice. Sweet. By cracking that back bolt just a little bit. The rear, the lowers are the same way. Back the bolt off a little on both sides. Kawasaki has just tightened these things up way too tight. And it's kind of odd, but there we go. Alright, now I'll put, just for giggles here, put this rear hub back on. Come on, baby. Now watch. Free as a bird. Now, I did, and I won't do it now, but the bushings in these A-arms are different from forward to aft. The bushings in the rear of both arms are the typical bushings you would think. 2 plastic bushings, sleeve through the middle. You know, no brainer. The front bushings, my guess is because Kawasaki thought about all the lateral pressure coming from the front that this style wouldn't hold up in the front of the arms, which I kind of agree with. But these are press-in bushings. They're not plastic, they're rubber with a, of course, metal sleeve. And what's happening is Kawasaki is over torquing the arms right here, plain and simple. And you might say, oh yeah, well after a while it'll wear in. No, it won't wear in either. Not with these rubber bushings. They're not ever going to wear in. What's happening was they've squashed the frame so much, the arm was actually rotating on the rubber. In other words, the rubber bushing, the arm is rubbing, trying to move on the rubber. That is not right. It needs to pivot through that metal. The bolt needs to pivot through the sleeve, and it's not because it's so tight. It's over tight. Now, suspension will, I will probably guess I would see the most drastic improvement in my rear suspension than I've ever seen yet. After revalving the shocks with, got it better, but I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, this just can't be right. Something's wrong. Now this may not, you T4 guys, especially when you got people in the rear, a lot of y'all bottom and stuff, and that's to be expected, I guess, because of the weight. But this thing just rode like a wagon, and with this nice and loose now and free, I think I'm gonna see a tremendous difference in my shock valving, preload. My deal is with suspension, I want to get it to bottom, and then I want to work from there. Well, you couldn't get this thing to bottom if you threw it off a cliff. It wouldn't bottom. Preload, my compression's been ran all the way out since day one. In my heart, I feel like that right there was the key. I mean, you ask any suspension guy, I'm not a quote suspension guy, but I know enough to know it can't be bound up like that. I mean, it just is not right. So you guys pull a wheel off, pull a shock off, check it out and see what you think. Like I say, I'll make another video of this camber change that's fixing to happen, because it's going to happen. It has to happen. But anyway, y'all pull a wheel off, like I say, pull a shock off, be it T4 or T2, or maybe even some of the earlier ones, 13s, 12s, I don't know, but or maybe it's just mine. Maybe mine's the only one, but I suspect a lot of them out there were bound up like that. So give it a shot, see what you think. Peace.